She was on a plane when the entire bathroom wall turned bright red with blood. Surgeons removed 2/3 of her colon, and that wasn't even the most heartbreaking thing that happened to Carolyn Jones. It's 1981. Ronald Reagan has just taken office as the 40th President of the United States. The country is still recovering from the assassination attempt on his life just months earlier. MTV launches in August. Changing music forever with Video Killed the Radio Star. Families are watching Dallas, The Dukes of Hazzard, and Hill Street Blues on television. Gas costs 98 cents a gallon, and movie tickets are $2.78. Raiders of the Lost Ark dominates the box office, while Endless Love by Diana Ross and Lionel Richie plays on every radio. The Cold War is getting worse, and America is entering the glamorous, excessive Reagan era. Truth number 1, she vomited blood on a plane and surgeons removed most of her stomach. On that night flight from Dallas to Los Angeles in 1981, Carolyn Jones leaned over to her fiancé, Canadian actor Peter Bailey Britton, and whispered, "Honey, I don't feel too well. I think I'm gonna go to the bathroom." She made it just inside the door. Suddenly, the whole wall and back of that little bathroom turned bright red, like something from a horror movie where you see the knife go in and blood spurts out. Carolyn spent the rest of that flight vomiting blood, wave after wave, unable to stop. When the plane finally landed in Los Angeles, she was rolled out of the airport on a stretcher, skipping baggage claim and customs, and rushed directly to surgery. The surgeons opened her up and discovered the nightmare, colon cancer, advanced. It had already spread to her liver. They removed 2/3 of her colon, trying desperately to buy her time. When she woke up from surgery, her body had been carved apart, rearranged, and stitched back together with the knowledge that the cancer was still there, waiting. She was 51 years old, and she had maybe 2 years left to live. Now, that plane incident, that was 1981. But Carolyn's story of sacrifice and transformation started decades earlier. And the cruel irony is that she did this to herself before, changed her entire identity for Hollywood. Stick with me, because truth number 2 reveals the lie she told everyone about what was really killing her. Truth number 2, she told everyone it was ulcers, not cancer. Here's the thing that makes this even more chilling. After that horrifying plane incident and the emergency surgery that followed, Carolyn Jones looked her colleagues, her friends, and the people she worked with straight in the eye and lied. "It's ulcers," she told them. "I'm being treated for ulcers." She hid her cancer diagnosis from everyone except her closest family. On the set of the soap opera Capitol, where she played the scheming matriarch Myrna Clegg, her co-stars had no idea she was dying. They thought she had stomach ulcers. Bad ones, sure, but treatable. Nothing to worry about. Why did she lie? Because Carolyn Jones understood Hollywood. If people knew she was dying of cancer, the work would dry up, the offers would stop, and she needed to work. Not just for the money, but because acting was her identity. Without it, she was nothing. So she gritted her teeth, showed up on set, delivered her lines, and pretended everything was fine while chemotherapy destroyed her body and cancer spread through her organs. She kept that secret for 2 years. 2 years of brutal treatments, 2 years of pain, 2 years of smiling and saying, "I'm fine, just ulcers." That takes a kind of strength most people will never understand. Truth number 3, she went from blonde bombshell to dark, mysterious beauty as a calculated career move. But this wasn't the first time Carolyn Jones changed herself for Hollywood. This wasn't the first time she transformed her body, her image, her entire identity just to survive in this business. In her early career, fresh out of Pasadena Playhouse, Carolyn tried to be what Hollywood wanted. She went platinum blonde, bleached her hair, did the Marilyn Monroe thing, the Jean Harlow thing. She tried to be that girl, that bombshell, that blonde who could turn heads and get cast. It didn't work. There were too many blondes. She was just another pretty face in a town full of pretty faces. So Carolyn did something radical. She dyed her hair jet black, went dark, changed her makeup to show off her enormous eyes and pale skin. She stopped trying to be the girl next door and became something else entirely. Mysterious, exotic, dangerous. She created a look that was almost gothic before gothic was even a thing. And Hollywood noticed. Suddenly, she was getting cast. Not as the sweet young girl, not as the love interest, but as the woman with secrets. The dangerous woman. The one with shadows in her eyes. She became a character actress with a signature look. And that look opened doors. She transformed herself from a blonde nobody into a dark, unforgettable presence. It was calculated. It was strategic, and it worked. Carolyn Jones understood that in Hollywood, if you can't fit the mold, you break it and create your own. Truth number 4. She proposed to Aaron Spelling and got zero alimony when he became a multimillionaire. In 1953, Carolyn Jones fell in love with a struggling actor named Aaron Spelling. He wanted to marry her, but he was broke. He couldn't afford a ring, couldn't afford a wedding, couldn't afford anything. He felt like he had nothing to offer her. So Carolyn proposed to him. She was the one who said, "Let's get married." She was the one who made it happen. And during their marriage, she became the breadwinner. Aaron wanted to write, wanted to create, wanted to tell stories. So Carolyn took jobs, any jobs, what she called trash acting gigs, just to pay the bills so Aaron could stay home and write. She supported his dreams. She believed in him when nobody else did. She sacrificed her career, took roles beneath her talent, and worked herself to exhaustion so Aaron Spelling could become Aaron Spelling. And then in 1964, they divorced. When it was over, Carolyn asked for absolutely nothing. No alimony, not a dime. She walked away clean, letting him keep everything because that's the kind of woman she was. Proud, independent. She didn't want his money. Here's the part that'll make you furious. Aaron Spelling went on to become one of the richest, most successful producers in television history. Charlie's Angels Dynasty, Beverly Hills, 90210, The Love Boat, Fantasy Island. He built an empire. He died worth $600 million. Carolyn Jones, the woman who made it possible, who supported him when he had nothing, who believed in him when no one else would. She got zero, nothing. She spent her final years working on a soap opera just to pay her bills while Aaron lived in a mansion with 123 rooms. That's Hollywood, baby. Truth number 5. Elvis Presley fans sent her thousands of letters asking if he was a good kisser. But let's rewind to 1958, when life was still good, when Carolyn Jones was on top of the world, nominated for an Academy Award, and working with the biggest star on the planet, Elvis Presley. She played Ronnie in King Creole, one of Elvis's best films and his personal favorite. In the movie, she's a tired nightclub singer, older and wiser, and she shares passionate scenes with Elvis. They kiss, multiple times, on camera, in front of millions of people. And Elvis Presley fans absolutely lost their minds. After King Creole was released, Carolyn Jones started receiving letters. Thousands of them. From teenage girls, from housewives, from women of all ages who were insanely jealous that she got to kiss Elvis. They wanted to know, what was it like? Was he a good kisser? Did he smell good? What did his lips feel like? Carolyn later admitted she had a huge crush on Elvis during filming. Who wouldn't? But she kept it professional. And that made the fan letters even more intense, because these women could see the chemistry on screen. They knew it was real. Years later, Elvis visited Carolyn at her home. They sat outside and talked about old times, about King Creole, about how much they both loved working with director Michael Curtis. Elvis grew sad and told her, "Carolyn, I've lost my way home." He was tired, disappointed with the terrible movies Hollywood forced him to make. He missed being taken seriously as an actor. Carolyn never forgot that conversation. She said she'd always remember Elvis with fondness and sentiment, but those thousands of jealous fan letters, those she probably could have done without. Truth number 6. The Morticia dress was so tight, it took 20 minutes and 2 people to remove. When Carolyn Jones was cast as Morticia Addams in 1964, she thought she'd hit the jackpot. A starring role on a network sitcom, steady work, national recognition. Charles Addams himself, the creator of the cartoons, personally selected her for the role. It was a dream come true. And then she saw the dress. That iconic form-fitting black gown that made Morticia unforgettable, it cost $500 per episode to make. In today's money, that's about $5,000 per dress. And it was so tight, Carolyn could barely move. The dress had to be sewn onto her body before every scene. It took 2 wardrobe assistants to get her into it, pulling, tugging, stitching her inside this impossibly tight fabric that clung to every curve. She couldn't sit down. She couldn't bend over. She could barely breathe. And getting out of it, that took 20 minutes and 2 people carefully cutting and unwrapping her like some kind of mummy. Every single day, multiple times a day. But here's the crazy part. That restriction created Morticia's signature move. Carolyn couldn't walk normally in that dress. It was too tight. So she developed that gliding walk, that smooth, ghostly movement where it looked like Morticia was floating across the floor. It wasn't a character choice. It was survival. The dress was so restrictive she had to glide, and her weight couldn't change, not even a pound. If Carolyn gained weight, the dress wouldn't fit and they'd have to remake it. So she watched every calorie, every bite, every meal for 2 straight years just to stay in that dress. Beauty is pain, but this was torture. Truth number 7. The Addams Family shocked conservative 1960s audiences with blatant sexuality. When The Addams Family premiered on September 18, 1964, conservative America clutched its pearls because Morticia and Gomez Addams had something that most TV couples didn't have: actual sexual chemistry, real, obvious, undeniable passion for each other. They touched, they kissed, they looked at each other with genuine desire. Whenever Morticia spoke French, Gomez would lose control and kiss her arm from wrist to shoulder, completely overcome with lust. This was shocking, scandalous. In the 1960s, most married couples on television slept in separate twin beds. They barely touched. Physical affection was hinted at, not shown. But Gomez and Morticia, they were all over each other. Their attraction was obvious, intense, and totally inappropriate for a family sitcom. Psychiatrists at the time actually wrote that while The Addams Family was bizarre and strange, the romantic relationship between Gomez and Morticia was the healthiest marriage on television. They communicated, they respected each other, they had fun together, and yes, they were clearly having sex. John Astin, who played Gomez, later said, "We were really the first couple on television that I know of who had a sexual relationship. They could actually have had the kids that they were supposed to." Carolyn Jones broke barriers. She made Morticia sensual, sophisticated, and sexual at a time when women on TV were supposed to be quiet housewives. She didn't apologize for it. She owned it. And millions of viewers were scandalized, fascinated, and secretly envious of what Morticia and Gomez had. Truth number 8. Being typecast as Morticia destroyed her post-Addams Family career. The Addams Family was canceled in 1966 after only 2 seasons. Carolyn Jones was heartbroken. She'd worked so hard, suffered so much in that dress, and poured everything into Morticia. And just like that, it was over. But here's the cruel irony. Morticia Addams made Carolyn Jones famous and destroyed her career at the same time. After the show ended, Carolyn couldn't get work. Casting directors would see her, and all they could see was Morticia. They couldn't imagine her playing anyone else. She'd been an Oscar-nominated actress in The Bachelor Party in 1957. She'd starred opposite Elvis, Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Kirk Douglas, Richard Burton. She had range, she had talent. None of it mattered. She was Morticia now. Forever. She did guest appearances here and there, small roles, nothing substantial. The offers dried up. Her agent couldn't sell her. Hollywood had decided Carolyn Jones equals Morticia Addams, and that's all she'll ever be. She later said that playing Morticia, while iconic, essentially ended her career as a serious actress. The role that should have opened every door instead closed them all. She was too memorable, too identified with one character, too branded. It's the curse of playing an icon. You become immortal, but you also become trapped. Carolyn Jones created something so perfect, so unforgettable, that it consumed her. Morticia Addams lived forever. But Carolyn Jones? She couldn't escape her. Truth number 9. She was handcuffed to her bed at night and worked from a wheelchair while dying. Let's return to 1981. To the cancer Carolyn Jones was hiding, to the lies she kept telling, to the brutal reality she faced every single day. The pain got worse, much worse. The cancer spread, the treatments failed, and Carolyn kept working. On the set of Capitol, things got so bad that her butler had to handcuff her wrist to the bed at night. Why? Because the pain medication and the cancer were causing her to sleepwalk. She'd get up in the middle of the night, disoriented and confused, and he was terrified she'd hurt herself. So he'd handcuff her, gently, just one wrist, just enough to keep her safe. During the day, she'd arrive on set in a wheelchair. She was too weak to walk, too frail to stand for long. But when the cameras rolled, Carolyn Jones would rise from that wheelchair, summon every ounce of strength left in her dying body, deliver her lines as the scheming matriarch Myrna Clegg, and then collapse back into the wheelchair the second they yelled, "Cut!" Her co-stars still didn't know. They thought she had ulcers. They had no idea they were watching a woman literally dying in front of them. She filmed episodes in March 1983, and then she couldn't anymore. The cancer had won. She went home. Truth number 10. She filmed on Friday and died that Sunday. Her last words were about her work. Carolyn Jones filmed her final scene for Capitol on a Friday. That Sunday, August 3rd, 1983, she died at her home in West Hollywood, California. She was 53 years old. Her very last words whispered to the people around her as she slipped away were about her work, about acting, about the only thing that had ever made her feel alive. She didn't have children. She'd been married 4 times, and it never worked out. She'd given everything to her career, to Hollywood, to the characters she played. And in the end, that's what she talked about. Not regrets, not what ifs, just the work. Carolyn Jones made arrangements before she died to donate her Morticia costume and wig to the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. She wanted to make sure no one would ever forget her portrayal of Morticia Addams, and they haven't. She was cremated the next day. A memorial service was held on August 5th at Glasband Willen Mortuary in Altadena, California. Her ashes were placed in her mother's crypt at Melrose Abbey Memorial Park. Carolyn Jones fought until the very end, handcuffed to a bed, working from a wheelchair, lying about her diagnosis, hiding her pain. She never gave up. She never stopped. She worked until her body couldn't work anymore. And that's how we should remember her. Not just as Morticia Addams, the icon, but as Carolyn Jones, the warrior, the woman who changed herself over and over again for Hollywood, who supported men who abandoned her, who suffered in silence, who was typecast and betrayed and broken and still kept going. She filmed on Friday, she died on Sunday, and her last thoughts were about the work she loved. That's Carolyn Jones. That's the real story behind the beautiful, mysterious woman in the black dress, and it's far more heartbreaking than anything we ever saw on screen. If Carolyn's story moved you, do me a favor. Share this video with someone who loves old Hollywood. Subscribe to this channel if you want more untold stories about the legends we thought we knew. And leave a comment telling me which truth shocked you the most, because these stories deserve to be remembered. These people deserve to be more than just the characters they played. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.